Thank you, Chairman, Your Excellencies. And if I may, in the spirit of being brief, simply say all protocols observed. I have a very long speech, but again, in terms of being brief, let me say a few words. I want to appreciate, first of all, the work that has been done over the last few days in addressing some of the long-standing issues, in particular the non-tariff barriers. My board, who's up here from the East African Business Council, we've had very intense deliberations around what it's going to take to be successful in East Africa. And I think, if I really get to the heart of it, it is ensuring that we think region before we think nation. That is very difficult. In the heat of the moment, I know private sector influences trade policy selfishly. As the East African Business Council, we want to bring an East African perspective to this. We think it's shameful that 150 million people who wear shoes have to buy shoes, and particularly used ones, from other parts of the world. We think it's shameful that some of the very able manufacturers of garments can sell them to Macy's and Marks and Spencer's and other companies for $7 a garment, and 3 or 4 years later, we wear those same used garments and pay a similar price. And in the meantime, in Burundi, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, we allow our cotton industry to degrade, our ginneries to rust, and our production to disappear. And then we say, let's be manufacturers, let's be producers, and simply we turn into traders. So as the East African Business Council, we're paying a lot of attention to this drive to produce. We want to be producers of value. We don't want to be traders. There's a role for traders. There's a role for traders. But let's manufacture. On that particular note, it's also very important. We've spent a lot of time with our Minister of Foreign Affairs in Kenya and many others in Tanzania. And we're talking about we need regional value chains. If Kenya, for example, is going to manufacture or assemble, let me say, German vehicles in Thika, why can't we have tires from Tanzania, exhaust pipes from Uganda, dashboards from Burundi? So this becomes an East African car, not just a Kenyan car. If Scania does that in Dar es Salaam, let it be the same thing. And I promise you, legislators, these sticky things called non-tariff barriers will drop when that truck made by whichever company reaches an Namanga border. The immigration and customs officials will say, "Hini wetu, let it go through." So our vision, Your Excellencies, our visions of private sector is let the trucks rumble through Namanga without stopping. We'll use technology, we'll ensure that things are done properly, but that's our vision. And most importantly, let me say, it is a shame again that we waste the resources that we have, the intellectual capacity of our youth, the industrial drive of our entrepreneurs, by limiting them to national borders. Let us be free. Let us be free at last, as they say. 150 million people. Local investors can get economies of scale, and most importantly, not even most importantly, let me just say, additionally, foreign investors can see East Africa for what it is, a 150 million people market. So we implore, we urge that we as private sector get a seat at the table. We have been observers for a long time. We would like to get out of the proverbial stands, come into the field, and help in the formulation of trade policy, and not come to events like this just to listen to a readout. We want to participate because our heart is in exactly the same place as the legislators. And as the chairman said, we're here to make jobs, create wealth, and uplift our people from poverty. With a few words, let me say asanteni, and we really appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.